Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. And he said to the man who had the withered hand, "Step forward." Then he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save a life or to kill?" But they kept silent. And when he had looked around at them with anger, being grieved by the hardness of their hearts, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored as a whole, just as the other. And so, just to give you guys a little bit of context about this, in the previous verses, the title of that other little section right before chapter 3 says controversy over the Sabbath work. And so, as you guys know, Jesus was dealing with the Pharisees, right? And they were always trying to trip him up. They were coming at him, trying to find him doing something wrong, whether or not he was allowed to heal on the Sabbath, whether he could do this, that, or the other. And so his heart, he was angry and he was grieved because of the hardness of their hearts. You know, and they were so, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that saying that, I don't remember it. About being so spiritual, you know, so heavenly bound that you're no earthly good. You get to this place, and I would say that it was pride. It just kind of takes over, right? And everything, there's no common sense, or there's no practical things that you're able to do anymore because you're just thinking so spiritual, you know. And that's not to say that it's bad to be spiritual or that it's bad to strive for holiness, but you got to be able to relate to people on earth, and you got to be able to make a decision as to whether or not, like, you're going to let the law get in your way from healing a man that has a withered arm, right? And so that's what Jesus was grieved about in that moment. And so what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is being stretched. Okay, this man with a withered arm, the Lord said to stretch out your hand. Okay, so how many of you guys feel like you're being stretched right now? Is anybody going through it? Yeah, me too. There's something about being stretched that makes us strong, you guys. And in my opinion, after reading what I have from the Word, the Lord, He uses unconventional situations, right? Thank you, Jesus. Yes. He uses unconventional circumstances to stretch us, to teach us, and to show us His power. Him healing the man on the Sabbath day, that was an unconventional circumstance because he wasn't supposed to, right? So he must be the devil. I don't know. I guess that's what the Pharisees thought because it was unconventional and it went against their rules and it went against their religious minds. And then in Matthew, so this is the other verse that I have. These are the two verses that we're going to I want you guys to mark because we're going to come back to these. Matthew 27:45. How many of you guys have ever felt abandoned by God? When you're in your season and you're feeling stretched, you know, and you're not really sure. The song that we were singing, you know, we have to not lean on our own understanding. And we have to trust Him and we have to choose to keep going even when nothing around us makes sense, right? 27:45. And so in this verse, I just want you guys to understand that Jesus understands, if that makes sense. Yeah, I woke up this morning with a major migraine. I was like, man, He doesn't like when I preach. He doesn't like when we do anything for God, right? He tries to come at us. Okay, so Matthew 27:45. It says, "Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour there was darkness over all the land. And at about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani?" I don't know. I know what it means. It says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And so I was reading that verse, and it's back to the stretching. Jesus stretched out His arms. He was put on the cross, right? And His arms were stretched to their full capacity. And in that moment, after He was stretched, right before He died for us, He felt like His Father had abandoned Him. Christians, we go through that many times in our walk. The Lord is stretching us, and it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good, and it feels like He's abandoned us. And that's why He sent Jesus to this earth, so that He could help us. It makes us feel better when we know that somebody else has been through the same things that we have been through, right? I'm going to share a story with you guys about some stretching that I had to go through. So when I first came to the Lord, I think it was in 2016, and I had 19 years of drinking under my belt, and I had about 13 years of heroin. And I had never been sober for more than 2 weeks. From the time that I was 10 to the time that I was 29, I had not been sober for more than 2 weeks, and I was including during my 5 pregnancies. I was going hard, and it was no let-up, right? And so I was serving the Lord, but what was happening is I was kind of going through like a religious experience. I was like a Pharisee. I thought I was all better because I was clean up on the outside, but everything inside of me was still jacked up. Everything inside of me. And so my walk, it didn't last that long. It took about 1.5 years before I gave up and I started using again, and I ended up back in jail. And when I got arrested, the Lord told me specifically that He wanted me to focus on grace. So I spent the next 3 months focusing on grace, and I told the Lord, like, look, I don't want to play anymore. Like, I'm done. I'm surrendering my entire life to you. I want to give you everything. And you think that when you come to the Lord, things are going to get better, things are going to get easier. Like, yeah, life's going to be good. And it's like, no, it's not. It gets harder because now you have a mark on your back, and you have the enemy who wants to come after you. Same way he came after me today. I've been serving the Lord for over 4 years now. He still comes at me when I try to do something for the Lord because it doesn't make him happy. He's not going to stop. That's just the way he works. But so this season, I get out of jail, right? And I was ready. I was on fire for God, and I was going to this church that I had been at for I had known the people for 20 years. And I was just happy, I needed to get out of my grandmother's house. People were still drinking and getting high, and I'm like, my kids came back, and I needed to be somewhere safe. So I went to stay with the pastor's daughter. Mm-hmm. And I was so happy because I thought I had all this support. And I was like, yes, the Lord's going to do this, and I have time to be here and get on my feet, and they're going to help me with training for work, and it's just going to be this great story, right? The Lord was like, no, I think I'm going to stretch you instead. Thank you. It's hot in here. He's like, no, I think I'm going to stretch you instead. So I lost all the support that I had. I ended up on the streets, homeless, living in motels for about 4 months. I had never had my own place. I had never had any kind of adult responsibility. I went from, I drank and got high my entire life. My mom took care of me, then I met my husband, and he took care of me, and then he died, and then I was just out there on my own, and I was forced to put my trust in God. But it wasn't in this fancy way that we all think the Lord is going to save us in. We think that He's just going to come and save us, and it's just going to be all great, and it's like, no. We have to learn. He's going to do His part, but we have to do ours. So I'm out there, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to be sober, much less. I have teenagers in my life now that I hadn't seen in 5 years. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so lost, and I'm losing it. But you know what? He came through every single time. Everybody around me switched up on me. My church family, my real family, my kids, everybody switched up on me. But that experience right there, me going through that, barely at the starting point of my sobriety, it sparked something inside of me. It awoke something inside of me that showed me that I wasn't just this weak individual that didn't know how to do anything and didn't know how to live and had to depend on everybody else around me. Now I was this strong woman that knew how to trust in God. But I wouldn't have discovered that part of myself, and I wouldn't have discovered that side of the Father's heart if I wasn't in that season of stretching. If it would have all just been handed to me and I didn't have to go out and work for it, it's like I feel like a spoiled kid, Jesus, He doesn't want us to be, yes, we're king's kids and we're spoiled and but not in a sense to where we can't do anything for ourselves, because we are His hands and feet on this earth. He's not going to force himself on us. He's not going to force us into his will. He's not going to force us to go out there and reach people and try to preach to people. He's not going to force us to do any of that. We have to go out and do it. But if we're so spoiled and we need the Lord to do everything for us, it's never going to happen. And so we have to go through these seasons where we're being stretched. That kind of stretching, it brought endurance into my life. It brought endurance. There's different kinds, okay? And so if you guys turn with me to James 1, chapter 1, verse 2. It says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds." It's like, what do you mean, count it all joy? Like, you want me to be happy because I'm homeless? You want me to be happy because, it's like, he does things in unconventional ways. That's the only way I can say it. It goes against the religious mind. It goes against the religious nerve, And then Romans 5:3, it says, "More than that, we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance." I was angry with God. I had to lock myself I was staying at motels that I used to get high at. And I'm like, bro, why would you bring me here? I didn't get this. Like, I had money in my pocket. I wanted to go buy dope. But instead, what did I have to do? I had to take the initiative not to make that decision. I had to lock myself in the bathroom. I had to call some leaders that I didn't even want to talk to at that moment and tell them what was going on in my mind and turn the shower on so that my kids couldn't hear me crying in the bathroom because I wanted to go get high so bad. Because I've never been an adult. I've never had adult responsibilities. I've never had my own place. I've never paid bills. I was never employed for more than 6 months in my entire adult life. I don't know. I still struggle with what it means to be an adult, much less raise teenagers, heal and stay sober, and give my entire life to God all at the same time. It's not easy. It's not easy. So if what you're going through right now is similar to this, let me tell you, it's not because you're being punished. It's not because you didn't do anything right. It's not for any other reason but the fact that He loves you. He loves you, and He knows what you need to be strengthened, so that you can serve Him with your whole heart, and you can serve Him with your whole mind. We can't give something if we don't know, if we don't have it, right? And so then let's talk about the kind of stretching that comes with persecution, lies, slander, family members turning against us. These are all the things that are similar to what Jesus had to go through in Matthew 27:45. A few minutes before He asked God, "Why did you forsake me?" He was telling the Lord, "Will you please forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," because they were persecuting Him. They were lying on Him. They were spitting on Him. They were everything that you could think of, and He was so humble. And so, if you're going through the kind of stretching where you're getting persecuted and people are lying on you and family members are turning against you, know that that's because God's teaching you how to love. Because the kind of people that you're going to deal with, one of the sisters said earlier, I think it was Shauna, it's not about us. We get to this point where it's not about us anymore. It's about the people that we need to reach, the people that are going to be inspired by our stories, the people that are out there hopeless, on the brink of suicide, and they need a real hope that we can give them, not just some cliche little Christian quote that you read on Facebook. We have to be able to give them a hope that is going to save their life and pull them out of the miry clay. But we will never learn how to do that unless we go through the stretching, the hard parts, the persecution, people turning against us. Right? Family members. My son, when I first got my son back, he was 15 years old. And I hadn't seen him since he was like 10. And he was just in this rebellious 15-year-old stage. Mind you, he had all this anger, And I tried to bring him into church, and he was angry with God. He didn't want to have nothing to do with God. He's like, "I prayed to your God every single night when you were out there on them streets asking for my mom to come home, and you never came home." And so I'm like, how do you answer that? How do you even say anything to that? Because it's true, right? And he'll understand when he gets older. But I had my child turning against me, and my heart was so broken. It was so broken because he's like, "I don't want nothing to do with your God." And I remember doing that same thing to my mom, and I was asking the Lord, how do I do this? What do I do? I don't want to drag him to church and make him hate God the same way that my mom did to me. It didn't work. And he says, be the person that you needed when you were that age. And the person that I needed when I was that age was somebody that understood me and let me make my own decisions, because I thought I was grown anyways and I was going to do what I wanted. And I just wanted people to respect the knowledge that I thought I had, right? So I let him. I let him just do his thing. He's left, he's come home. But the faithfulness that we choose to give to the Lord when we're going through these things, whether it's your child or whether it's your parent or whoever it is that has turned their back on you because your newfound faith and all the stuff that you did in the past before you found your faith, they don't need you to beat Jesus into their life. They need to see your persistence. They need to see your commitment to the Lord. And I promise you, it will change their hearts and how they look at you, how they think about themselves, and how they think about God, most of all. But again, it's the stretching. It's the stretching. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't make sense. It hurts. It can bring rejection. It could bring bitterness. And if you're not seeking the Lord and if you're not in your word, then those things are going to take root in your heart. So when you're going through the stretching, you can't, that is not the time to turn your back on God. That is not the time to get offended. That is not the time to feel sorry for yourself either. If we stay in our word and we choose to trust the Lord when we're going through these things, the word is going to tell us in 1 Peter 4:12-14. You guys don't have to turn there if you don't want to. But it says, Beloved, do not be surprised with the fiery trials when it comes upon you to test you as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you shared in Christ's suffering, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted for Christ, then you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and the Spirit of God rest upon you. And it'll tell us in 1 Peter 3:14, but even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed. Have no fear of them, nor be troubled. And in 2 Corinthians 12:10, it'll tell us, for the sake of Christ, then I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecution, and calamities, for when I am weak, then he is strong. There's no better place than to be vulnerable in the arms of the Lord, not knowing what you're going to do, where you're going to go, how it's going to work. Because based off of past experiences, I'm sure you guys know that when we take control of our own lives, it doesn't work out that well. Right? Every single decision that I ever made in my life was bad. Every single one. Like, I'm telling you, I purposely made bad decisions. I refused to make a good decision just because I had such a spirit of rebellion on top of me. Operating in witchcraft at such a young age. Suicidal. You know, it was just, I refused God and everything that came with him. All the stretching. I had given my life to him when I was like 5. So he carried me through all that rebellion. All of it. I should have been dead thousands of times, but I'm not. I'm here with you guys preaching. And I don't even deserve this. You know what I mean? He has the power to change. So you're going through all this stuff, right? And the way that Jesus asked the Father, will you forgive them? If that doesn't blow your mind on what it means to be stretched, he stretches our minds, he stretches our hearts, he stretches our ability to love. In Psalms 92:12, you guys can turn there. Okay, so these are just, I'm telling you guys, he just downloaded all these scriptures and was like, fit them together. So, here we are. But, Psalms 92:12, he amazes me. Oh my gosh, you guys, he's so funny. He has a sense of humor. And it says in the word that it's the glory of kings to search things out, right? He has all these hidden mysteries in his word, and we read these verses and we're like, ooh, that sounds pretty, you know? Psalms 92:12 says, but the godly will flourish like palm trees and grow strong like the cedars of Lebanon. And when you think of that, you're like, yes, I'm strong. I'm like a palm tree, facts about some palm trees. A sable palm tree can withstand winds up to 145 miles per hour. Its roots, check this out though, its roots spread wide and very deep. This characteristic alone is amazing, and here is the life changer. When strong winds come to the palm tree's root system, it's not weakened, but it's strengthened. Wow. So these storms, like I'm sure you guys have seen the storms on TV when there's hurricanes, it strengthens the root system of the palm trees. Wow. Every single time there's a wind like that. Think about that for your spiritual life. He compares us to the palm trees. Why? Not because they're pretty, but because they can withstand the storm. Because we're going to go through storms, but those storms are going to strengthen our roots. That's, it just blows my mind. I love him. It says, yes, when the wind blows hard on a palm tree, the roots stretch and grow stronger. Their leaves have flexible spines that fold up against hard weather, and the cylinder-like rings around the trunk create a super strength that will allow a palm tree to bend up to 50 degrees without snapping. Stretching, right? He's going to stretch you as far as he can without breaking you. But because it's going to strengthen you, it's because he loves you, and he knows what you need to get through this life. He's amazing, you guys, I'm telling you. All right, so let's go back to Mark 3, okay? I want to talk more about the man with the arm that Jesus healed. And about the Pharisees that he was dealing with. So he had to deal with these Pharisees. Let's see, it's in well, we don't have to read it. You guys can go back and read it on your own time. It starts in verse 23 of chapter 2. If you guys want to go and read it later, you can. But like I was telling you earlier, they're coming at the Lord, and they're always trying to catch him up. You got these Pharisees telling him that he can't heal on the law, on the day of the Sabbath, and he can't do this, and he can't do that. And here is Jesus doing these unconventional things. We see a religious spirit strong in these churches now. I dealt with a religious spirit the first year and a half that I served the Lord. And it's more damaging than not even knowing God in the first place. Because the enemy he'll bring self-condemnation. He'll cause us to look at other people's lives and judge them based off of what they're going through. Say you got a sister in church that comes and shares with you that her kids are acting up, or this is happening and this is going on, and you're like, dang, she ain't even got her house in order. She must not be serving the Lord right. What is she doing? What kind of sin is she in? Maybe God is just using that unconventional situation to stretch her and change her life. We shouldn't use those things to come down on people or to be judgmental towards people or even towards ourselves. We think because we got an unruly teenager that we're doing something wrong, or that we've messed up and God doesn't love us, or we lose our job, and right away the enemy comes in and tells us to condemn ourselves, just like the Pharisees. They were condemning Jesus for healing on the Sabbath. And he's like, bro, what's a better thing to do? Let a man die in front of you on the Sabbath, or to go against the law and heal him? It's almost like common sense, you know? Ask for forgiveness later instead of asking for permission. It's easier, you know? It's easier. It's like, I don't know, I've heard that and I just go with it sometimes because it works. So, but these situations that we go through right away, the one thing that we start thinking is that God would never do this. God would never let me lose my job so that he can make me stronger. Yes, he will. He just did it to me last year, I promise you. God would never let my kid get shot so that, he would change his life and come back. No, yes, he will. My son got shot 2 years ago. And every single thing that the enemy means for harm, every single thing that the Lord allows to happen in your life, He's going to use it. If it's not him personally choosing those things to stretch you, he's going to turn it around for your good. But don't rebuke the very thing that God is using to try to change you. We can't rebuke these things because it's what's going to bring life and strength and perseverance, right? That man in Mark 3, he had limitations. He couldn't grasp things. Now, whether that's in the natural or it's meant to be in the spirit, either way. Some of us come to Christ with these limitations. We can't grasp things. We can't hold on to things. We can't seem to memorize verses. We can't, all these things. And we pray to the Lord, save me, God, I can't seem to remember your words. I can't seem to grab hold of that truth that you love me. Save me, God, save me. And what do we picture in our head that how he's going to save us? He's just going to magically, one day we're just going to wake up and memorize everything? No. What did he do? What did he do in that verse? He asked that man. Maybe he didn't ask him, I don't know. He told him to step forward. And he gave him a command. Not a command, but he said to him, stretch out your arm. He didn't pray for him. He didn't lay hands on him. He didn't anoint him. He didn't go give him a hug. He didn't rescue him. He said, stretch out your hand. He put the ball in that guy's court. He did his part. So we got to do ours. If you're having trouble memorizing scripture, then write a scripture down, put it in your pocket, and carry it with you all day, and say it a million times. We have to do our part. And I just use that analogy because it's simple, but it could be for anything, right? It could be for your marriage, it could be for your children, it could be for your walk, it could be for anything. For the way that you love. We have to welcome these things. And not only are we able to have the withered arm, but we're able to have a withered heart and a withered mind. It's time for us to step out of that place. It's time for us to step out of that victim mentality. It's time for us to step out of whining because we're being stretched. And I preach this to myself because I don't like the things that the Lord is using to stretch me right now. It's uncomfortable and it hurts. But I'll close with this. What are some of the benefits of stretching? Did any of you guys work out? Yeah, growing pains too? Yeah. So here's 8 benefits of stretching. Flexibility, posture, it alleviates back pain, better sleep, injury prevention. It preps the body for exercise. It brings mental clarity. It improves your performance at physical activities. It decreases your risk of injuries. It helps your joints move through their full range of motion. It increases muscle and blood flow. It enables your muscles to work most effectively. It improves your ability to do daily activities. Stretching keeps the muscles flexible, strong, healthy. And we need that flexibility to maintain a range of motion in the joints. Without it, the muscles shorten, they become tight, and then when you call on those muscles for activity, they're weak and they're unable to extend all the way. The Bible says, as it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. If you're not being stretched in the spirit, when it's time to call upon those muscles that you need to get through these situations or to help deliver that person or to speak life into that somebody that's not treating you so well, you're going to call on them muscles and they're not going to be able to work to their fullest ability because you rejected God's stretching and you chose to sit in your comfortable little chair. You've got to get out of that place of complacency and trying to be comfortable because there's nothing about serving the Lord that's comfortable, I promise you. Nothing. There's nothing comfortable about getting up and praying at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing comfortable about your family turning against you. There's nothing comfortable about the warfare. It's hard. And so I encourage you guys. The verse that he wanted me to close with was 2 Chronicles. And I mean, I don't know, it's getting kind of late, but I was going to see if we could play that song again, the one, I lean not on my own understanding. I don't know. And so, this verse, in 2 Chronicles 15, 14, and 15. I kept seeing the numbers 15 everywhere the other day, and that's how I got most of these scriptures and this message tonight. And the number 15 means mercy and grace. And a couple other things that I didn't write down, but the Lord is, you guys, He's so patient with us. And this verse says they took an oath to the Lord with loud acclamations. You guys wonder why we scream and we yell and we jump and we blow the horn? There's power in our sound. There's power in our sound. When you're at a football game and it's not the losers that are screaming. It's the losers that are quiet. And they're all bent out of shape because they're watching their team get beat, right? You guys are winners. And so, if you're going through it, I encourage you to use worship as a way to receive rest. It says they took an oath to the Lord with loud acclamations and with shouting and with trumpets and with horns. All Judah rejoiced about the oath because they had sworn it wholeheartedly. They sought God eagerly, and He was found by them. So the Lord gave them rest on every side. If you seek Him, there's another version of this verse that says that He let them find Him. He let them, because they made an oath to seek Him wholeheartedly, eagerly. And because of the loud acclamation and shouting that came out of their mouth. Praise your way through it. Because the stretching, it's not going to go away. But if you need rest in the midst of your stretching, 2 Chronicles 15, 14 through 15 is the answer. I promise you. Alright, so that's all I got. If you guys feel like you need prayer, you want to come up for altar call. If you want to come up here and scream and shout while this song plays and take an oath and make a declaration to the Lord, then I encourage you guys to do that.